The material balance I did in my last video wasn't complete. So let's dive in and get it complete and make sure that we find material losses so that we can eliminate them. Hello, I'm Tom. Welcome to my channel where we talk about continuous improvement in an industrial setting. And this video is about material losses and quality losses. And it came forth out of a discussion I knew before, but also a comment I got on my previous video about a mass balance where I say in, out, waste. And the remark was that's not a complete mass balance, and that's true. And in fact, for the purists among you, my mass balance, where I use it to find material losses, isn't even technically completely a mass balance because I also take specs into account. And I make sure that I find mass problems, mass wastes in all of the streams. So let's rehash what I mean with a mass balance and also what the goal is to me. So we have our process with incoming material, outgoing good product, maybe some byproduct that you really know, and this is always a bit of a discussion point. I mean, any byproduct which is not as valuable as your main product is maybe a waste, maybe not. We'll get to that in a bit. And also the rest is waste. So the basic assumption of a mass balance is you follow all your flows. What goes in but did not come out has to be found somewhere as a waste. It then goes to our client, a client who is king. Now, in history we have plenty of examples of kings that went mad, but they still are the king. So they decide in the end what is good, and we'll have some losses in this part of our flow as well, but that's sort of already outside of a mass balance. And what I told the byproduct, what I mean with that is when you have a product that always generates a secondary product that maybe in history used to be scrap, but is now really part of the process, it's often better to call it a byproduct. So you can keep calling it scrap, but you will see that within your factories, your operators, your technologists, they will not engage as much with your loss analysis and your mass balance if you call a pretty well valued side stream a loss. And when you call it a byproduct, almost always they agree and they go on. But there are some strict rules. So let's go over first the types of losses that we're trying to find and then where we will find them. Now I split them up into 5 categories that for me really work in a nice way. And if we go to the pure quality management philosophy, you may have some problems with how I split them up. But in practice, this, in my experience, makes the easiest analysis of your losses. And of course, that is the final goal. Analyze losses so that you can reduce them. It's not about the mass balance or the material loss analysis itself or how neatly it all fits within the framework of Six Sigma quality management, lean. It's about improving the process. And this will get you the easiest way with how in most companies data is structured, and it'll get you buy-in from the people involved. So what we have is overusage, and overusage basically comes out in 2 places. We have when there is too much byproduct. We also, if we make a nice product, we may have a bit too much giveaway. If our product is heavier than we sell it for, if we have a fixed weight sales package and it's heavier than that, we lose material. But also if specific expensive components of your material are over their needed content, so you have a certain specification, there should be 50% sugar in your product and the rest can be water. Sugar is the more expensive product, so if you have more than 50% sugar, you overuse. And the more expensive your ingredient, the more expensive this overusage will be. Then we have scrap. Well, this is all kinds of stuff going out. And here you should think about it's not the product itself, it's stuff that you pull away from the process. This is also often called process scrap. Defects, these are basically products that do not make it until the end. So during your production process, you already see that they are so off-spec, so wrong, damaged, not tasty, whatever, that you toss them out of the process and you generate waste. And then, and here is the thing where the quality maintenance people sometimes say a bit of a problem, off-spec is basically also a defect. But off-spec is a defect that is noted after it became a product. So if somewhere here we say there is a problem with our product, it's good enough to sell to certain clients, perhaps, maybe at a lower price. That is an after processing off-spec. We usually get a relatively okay price for it, but the most important part to distinguish here, a defect already within the production process, it's so wrong that you took it out of the whole flow. An off-spec usually moves with the flow almost up until the end, and then it's sorted out. Well, they are basically the same, but your accounting systems will likely make a difference, and that's why I also made a difference here. Many accounting systems easily have this, what went out and what are the products, and this is just available. And you also have a number of waste streams in which several defect categories are just linked. So in your SAP or Oracle or whatever system you use, you will often see these were some waste flows, kilos, tons, money attached, and you will also see product going out, and then after it leaves your factory, but it is somewhere else in the supply chain, you get a notification saying, no, that product had to be detoured and sold for a lower price. We will charge you back some money. So you get a charge to your factory, and that's why these two are so easy to just split up. And then, of course, claims. So any complaint by a customer is technically already really material lost and a problem gained. But specifically, if they also claim the money, you definitely are incurring costs. So that is if our customer is not happy, and that is really, of course, we know, a bad thing. I mean, we should have gotten it out here, or at least somewhere in our quality checks. If the customer gets it, you get a claim, that is damaging everything, your money, your reputation, your future sales. But this is what I try to get out of a mass balance, material and quality loss analysis, because to me they really are part of the whole process quality, process stability type of analysis, where we want to improve how we treat our material and how we convert it into good product. And in this range, this is usually called the mass balance. And here I also include it because you want to keep it as part of the cost. Now, what you also try to do, especially with the lower three here, is you try to get into where did it happen. So if you can link claims and off-specs to defects, you can make a good analysis of where in your process you need to fix things to prevent all of that. Now, let's check a nice example how to define these things in practice. And let's say that we're having a nice barbecue and we're grilling a T-bone steak. The first thing is, if we're trying to grill a 300 gram T-bone steak and we've got cuts of 400 grams, we're putting too much meat onto the barbie. Now, if you're with friends, usually you don't really care. If you're selling per kilo in industry, this usually doesn't care. But if you are running a restaurant and the purchase of those steaks is one of your main costs, and you're selling your customers a 300 gram steak, then the extra 33% that you're adding on top, that comes out of your own pocket. And maybe some customers will like it. Most will probably not even really pay for it. They might even not even notice it. So you are overusing if you're putting way too much steak in there. Now, what you will also see is scrap. For instance, well, there is some not so nice part over there. We take it out, cut it off. Maybe we cut a little bit off here to make the fatty rind very nice and juicy, but not too big. Many of our people will not like it. This is cut off. Now, what you will say is, hey, but you can reuse it. And here also you get the difference between a home situation and a factory situation. If you have a meat factory, all these cut-offs, they will be collected and turned into mincemeat, which is a lower paid but still valuable product. If you are frying a couple of steaks at home, let's say 2 or 4 steaks, this probably ends up in the bin, because when you're judging and working with such small quantities, there is no real organized waste stream. Now, this is also getting to the heart of what you should take into account. The material is lost. So also, when you're in a meat processing plant, everything you cut off is scrap, but the scrap may still have its own value. So when you do the analysis, make sure you get the full scrap material value, and next to it, say how much it cost you net of any additional savings or maybe additional costs, because let's face it, some of the scrapped products, some of the things that we cut off actually cost money to then destroy. So there is some extra cost here, but you have to either add that or subtract it. If you make a profit, the material is lost, and that's what goes into the balance. Now, a defect, when we completely over grill our steak, it's black. We see at the moment that we're grilling, turn it over, this one is really, it's not gonna fly. We cannot give this to our friends or paying customers, so it'll probably end up in the bin, maybe with your dog, but it will not go out. It stops before the border of your process and becomes waste. Off-spec is when we perhaps put way too much salt in it, and as soon as it goes to our client, to our friends enjoying our barbecue, they take a little piece of, no, this is really not my taste. And maybe they give it to somebody else. They're not very happy with it. Maybe somebody else who does like a salty, very peppery or very rare steak will take it, but it did not satisfy the intended customer. And perhaps we even found out about this when we were moving the product. And with a claim, it's of course very similar. So you can imagine your friends sitting in the back lawn. They get a steak that's completely well done, and they like a rare steak. And your friend tells you, well, look, this is not what I like. Please get me another steak, but make it rare. Depends on how cheeky your friends are, but in the home situation, off-spec and claim is very close. You can imagine that when you are in a restaurant, the off-spec is already noted by the waiter who brings the plate, and while they're walking, they turn around to the kitchen, hand it in, want a new one, or at the table, somebody is not happy, asks for a refund or at least another plate of food. So that's how we can get our material losses in a steak example. Also, I think a good thing to add on here is that the precise definition of your categories, that isn't the most important part. It is about making it easy for you to analyze using the data systems that your company has, so that you can easily do this type of analysis and do it multiple times, maybe over multiple months or lines or factories, so that you get a good feeling for which of those categories are going up or down, where can you save, where can you reduce the amount of loss. So that is what is important in this whole part. Not that your mass balance is perfect and that you know for sure that it is a byproduct or a waste stream. It's not that important. Also the categories, they don't have to be exactly that what TPM prescribes. They have to be clearly defined for your company, your colleagues, so that you can make a decent analysis of where your money is going. And how can you improve your processes to make a better quality product with less extra added on costs, so that you stay competitive and make lots and lots of money. Now, I'm planning to do additional videos on each of these topics separately, but also let me know which topics would you like me to discuss, where would you like a little bit of extra attention or an explanation. Drop a comment, I'll be happy to think about it and also design a video and an idea and an explanation about it. That is one of the things I love to do for you. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so as well. And for now, I wish you the best of luck eliminating the identified material losses. But as always, enjoy that improvement journey.